But yeah, I like civil procedure.
It was okay.
How'd you feel about con law, constitutional law?
So let me just set the record. I didn't like any of my classes in law school. I hated con law. I thought it was going to be cool because this is me being an idiot. I thought con law had to do with like convicts and was going to be more criminal law. Turns out it's constitutional law. Man, you ever just tried to read the Constitution? I guess no. It's boring. And hey, I love the Constitution, but reading it is horrible. And all the cases sound exactly like the Constitution is worded, and it's terrible. Counterpoint.
No, I'm going to agree on this one. I did not really understand enough about what was going on in constitutional law until studying for the bar because of the way we study in law school, which we'll come back to and talk about the Socratic method. But words like ripeness and mootness of an issue, I could not understand what we were talking about, or rational basis test versus... It took the bar for me to put all those pieces together. So I also had a hard time with con law.
Was not my best grade ever.
That was middle of the road for me.
Worst grade I ever got in undergrad or law school combined.
Not for me.
I didn't fail though.
That's always at least the bare minimum is don't fail. Okay.
C's get degrees.
C's get degrees. Not always in law school. You don't keep your scholarship anyway. Here's a good one. Property law.
This is right up there with con law for me.
It actually kind of works out that I went on to become an estate planning and probate attorney because the only part of property law I liked, I didn't like all the business about the foxes and the brooch and the finders keepers. I don't like any of that.
That was the money in the piano, wasn't it?
Yes, the finders keepers. I don't like any of that. I also did kind of like rap. Our teacher was really cute and funny, and she said, rap. No, I'm not going to rap for you. It stands for Rule Against Perpetuities. It's a bunch of nonsense that sounds something like, no interest is good unless it must certainly vest or fail within 21 years of a life and being. And no, I'm not going to explain that to you. Good luck, law students. But what I did like was all the different ways to own things. With remainderment interests, fee simple absolutes. I liked all of that.
It's kind of what we deal with every day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
did
that.
like that part of property.
The foxes is kind of meh.
Finders keeper isn't that bad. There's a case where someone just finds a bunch of cash in a piano that they bought, and they basically get to keep it.
I just didn't think it was that interesting. I thought, well, duh. So.
Yeah. You find a bunch of cash. Congrats. It's yours.
That's not legal advice. That's not legal advice. Disclaimer. Okay, so that brings us to contracts. You go first.
I liked contracts. I think we're going to agree a lot on this one. Maybe. I had an awesome professor for contracts, even though he called on me first as my first class ever. So I was the first person called on in my whole entire law school class. That sucked. But he was a cool guy. And the class actually had a lot of practical knowledge that you learned about everyday stuff. I mean, your contract with Xfinity or Comcast or whoever the heck you use. And everyone signs contracts all the time. You got to rent, lease, mortgages, everything. So I just thought it was really handy dandy class to have.
Yeah, I really liked contracts. My professor was Professor Thomas Russell. Hello, if you ever watched this. He used props. He brought in props, and it made it a lot more fun. He would always ask us if during class anybody had done some sort of update where we just blindly agreed to whatever Apple said or Google or whatever to update. For me, that was a no because I only took notes and shut down everything else on my computer so there were no distractions. I also really liked that he taught contracts and said, just because this is the way that the law says it, doesn't mean this is the way you should handle with your clients, especially your business clients. And what he meant by that was, just because the law says if A reneges on B, so if we have a contract and I renege on my end, that Jeff can sue me for damages, doesn't mean that he's going to want to do that. And as an attorney, it's really important to know that you have to think like a business person, and it might be in Jeff's better interest to just let that contract go, because we would have a relationship where I might give him more business down the line. But if he sues me, we're never having that relationship again, and he's probably going to get known in the industry for being kind of a jerk. So I thought that was really helpful. It was maybe a more practical class.
Yeah, attorneys have a reputation of coming in and ruining a lot of deals, and unfortunately that's pretty true in a lot of cases. So for all you aspiring law students out there, don't ruin every deal you go into. Sometimes the meat behind the contract is more important than the contract itself.
I agree with that. Okay, lawyering process, or what did you call it? Legal research and writing?
Yeah.
That is what lawyering process is. We just called it LP for short, but same thing.
Did you guys have, before we get into that, did you guys have a class for like running a law firm? I don't remember what our school called it. We took it first year though.
Is required?
Yeah.
No. You can talk about that though, and I'll just sit here and stare off into space.
Well, we took a class on how to run a law firm. That's pretty much it. A lot of lawyers.
Was it a semester long?
Yeah, so a lot of lawyers have no clue about business. If you've watched our other Fireside Chat videos, you'll know that a lot of people that go to law school have political science or psychology majors, which Cristyn is a huge fan of. It's really important as a lawyer to have knowledge of the business environment. I think you would agree with that. And having a business background is very important, but some law schools, knowing that attorneys don't have much business background, require you to take a class on running your own law firm, which kind of gets you into the business mindset, how to run a business, and then you understand business people more, which is who you're probably going to be dealing with in most of your life anyway. So as much business experience as you can get is always helpful. I like that class. I thought it was awesome.
I would have liked that class too. My undergrad, like Jeff's, was in business. I do think I've listened to a lot of podcasts and read a lot of articles about great attorneys running their firms into the ground because they don't know how to run a business. They only know how to be an attorney. It's a two-faceted thing. So
Yeah.
Good job, Jeff.
Thanks.
Yeah. Any other classes that you took?
I mean, not in the first semester. We can talk about legal research and writing, lawyering process, or whatever you called it.
You go first.
Legal research and writing. I did really well and hated it. Not as much as con law, not as much as property, but it was probably third in the most hated bank. Keep in mind, there wasn't a class except estate planning that was in the I like this class bank. But legal research and writing, a ton of reading, a ton of writing, and a ton of research, hence the name of the class.
I don't know what's the problem with any of those things.
Completely different people. No, I'm patting myself on the back again. I can write really well and I can write really quick. I just don't enjoy legal writing. There's a thing called the Blue Book in law school. I get to know it. I hate it. She loves it. You have to cite everything completely properly.
I have the Blue Book in my office. I wish I had it right now.
Is that what you were just holding up?
Yeah.
Your fake Blue Book?
Yeah, my fake Blue Book. It's still tabbed.
There's nothing there.
Yeah, I know, but there should be.
So you have to underline certain parts and put a comma in the right spot and put a period in the right spot and certain abbreviations. You have to use the exact same abbreviations for everything. And I don't know any lawyer that actually follows this correctly, but we had to follow it correctly. And it was a pain in the butt. And it was about 30 revisions of one single memo that we had to write, which you never do in the real world. You write a memo and you submit it and you're done. And we had to do an appellate brief.
That's second semester, right, for you? For me, it was just objective memos in the fall and then persuasive briefs in the spring.
No, we started off with an appellate.
Really?
Which made no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, I strongly think that's not the right way to do it.
So,
but I'm not an educator, so what do I know?
I would say way less than 10% of attorneys will ever write an actual appellate brief in their entire life, and that was our very first project. And those are huge and very intense as far as research is concerned. I mean, you research for months and write for months and have a huge stack of papers at the end. So maybe that contributed to my not enjoying that class very much.
Yeah. At DU, University of Denver, we started off with objective memos, which I think is a much better emphasis on your writing, is how to be objective first, because usually in your rising 2L, which is what they call that summer between first and second year, you're really just doing objective work. You might be asked to give your opinion, but it's a lot more based only on the facts, not so much arguing. So it makes a lot more sense to start with objective. That's what we did. We did a total of 4 objective memos. The first one was kind of a baby memo where we were given, here are just the 3 cases you're going to look at. And they were all like a page long. And then it kind of got a little bigger. And then it was partner work for the first 3 and then independent for the end. I really liked it. I went on to be a teaching assistant, not once, but twice. So it feels like I took it 3 years. Get out of here. And I really enjoyed it. I really like the Blue Book. I wish I had mine to show you how used it is. Don't use it anymore though. But we're drafting estate plans and don't need to put legal citations.
I'm so excited about it.
So I don't need to use it. Not to say that some attorneys don't. Before we just go ragging full on the Blue Book, there are state-specific rules, and as a teaching assistant, you have to have some kind of baseline to say, okay, we're going to follow just the strict letter of the Blue Book, as opposed to, oh, you can do whatever form of the Blue Book or state-specific rule you choose, because then all hell breaks loose. You have to have the rule.
Yeah.
I'm going to defend that. I really enjoyed it. I like reading. I like writing. But I also had a professor who, the way he explained everything and the way you roll things up in the accordion made a lot of sense to me. And when it finally came time to do my first internship, which I did for a judge, my writing was really succinct and I could do a really abbreviated version of a full objective memo in a really short writing because I put in all the effort. But I like research and I like writing. So.
Guess who does the research and writing in our office?
So let's move on to how you learn to become a law student, not a lawyer. Let's be clear about that. Training to become a law student and a lawyer are not the same thing. So, Socratic method. I really wish I thought of an example. Ooh, what is the Socratic method, Jeff?
I'd love to tell you, Cristyn. The Socratic method sucks, is what it is. The Socratic method is sitting in class and the teacher just calls on you and asks you a question and you have to answer in front of everybody, which depending on your class size could be hundreds of people, 50 people, 10 people, depends on the class. But hey, I'm going to get my opinion in here. I think law schools have ruined the Socratic method. Socrates didn't teach but just asking questions. He had points behind his questions and would talk in between. I really like Plato and Socrates. All they do in a lot of law school classes, if they're strictly Socratic method, is just ask questions the whole time. I learned a lot less in those classes than the ones where the teachers had actually practiced in their field or were currently practicing.
Ooh, same. Especially first semester of law school, I would feel like by the end of a Socratic method class or just even one person talking, I didn't even know if they were right or not.
Yeah.
I was like, is that the right answer? That's not what I thought, but am I right or are they right?
Exactly. They won't say. They'll just keep asking questions. You're like, this makes no sense whatsoever. I'm going to stop coming to class and just read the book and then take your test.
Don't do that because the ABA, the American Bar Association, which governs the licensure to your accreditation to your school, does require you to attend a certain percentage of classes.
Just saying I did really well in law school. But
how many hours did you spend in the library, Jeff?
Too many, because I didn't learn anything in class. But yeah, they need to change that. I'm not gonna keep ranting about the Socratic method. They should change it.
I do agree with the case law method because you have to understand how each individual tree creates the forest or each individual case. But I didn't learn much from the Socratic method. I think, if anything, from my fellow peers who were wrong, I learned less because I thought what they were saying, which was wrong, was the law, and they weren't. That's all I've got on the Socratic method.
Me too. So how'd you actually learn to become a good law student?
So that's the funny thing. So I went to law school married with a daughter in first grade, my 1L year, and I lived about an hour without traffic, up to an hour and a half with traffic, away from school, which you attend, at least in my school, 5 days a week the whole first year. So besides what studying I could do on the bus that I took from the Springs up to Denver, and what I could do in the short breaks between classes, I didn't do much because I didn't have the time. I don't recommend that. What did you do?
I spent a lot of time in the library. So
How many hours would you say?
some days 12. It sucked.
Do you recommend that?
No, don't do that. Have fun. Have a life. So when I first started law school, I thought you had to read all the cases like 10 times and take a bunch of notes, facts, issue, holding, rule. It's good to get the facts, issue, holding, rule, which law students know what I'm talking about. For the rest of everyone out there who is sleeping by now, sorry. I learned to be a law student by just doing it. My second year, I finally picked up that you don't actually have to read through every single case. I never got the study guides, which I should have. There are basically like Cliff Notes type things that you can get. A manual has a manual outlines and something like that. And then there's something that has case briefs that you can get that just briefs the case for you. Recommend that. And
Why did nobody tell me about these things?
well, I didn't have them either, but I've read a few now and they're fantastic. It'll save you tons and tons of time.
Hi, this is Michael from Althaus Law. I'm sorry I cut your video short, but unfortunately while recording our camera cut off a little bit early, so we are missing the last couple of minutes of footage, which is why I'm here instead of Jeff or Cristyn to send you off and let you know that if you liked this video, to please leave us a like and subscribe if you want. It helps us out a ton. Also, if you have a suggestion, please let us know. We love making these videos, but we only have so many ideas. So if you have something that you'd like us to talk about during our next Fireside Chat or make another video about altogether, just let us know in the comments below. All right, have a good one.